So our panel today is a wonderful panel. I'm going to introduce them all one at a time, starting with Rachel MacCleery. Are you getting ready, Rachel? Okay, so Rachel, hold on a second here, is Senior Vice President at the Urban Land Institute, where she leads the organization's Building Healthy Places and Infrastructure initiatives. I love the title. In this role, she spearheads ULI's efforts to leverage the power of its global networks to improve the health of people and communities. MacCleery also engages in federal, state, and local discussions about infrastructure policy, funding, and financing. She conducts outreach to ULI's council networks, positions the organization as an infrastructure thought leader, and produces reports that examine cutting-edge infrastructure trends and issues. She began her career as a transportation planner for the city of Washington, D.C., and later consulted on infrastructure and planning projects in China while working for global infrastructure provider AECOM. In addition to her role at ULI, MacCleery currently serves on the World Economic Forum's Global Agenda Council on Infrastructure. We're glad to have you. Come on up.
I think we are at code blue in terms of the health of Americans. We are in a very desperate situation in terms of the onslaught of chronic diseases, diabetes, obesity, inactivity, and the rest, and an onslaught of the costs of these things. We've got to move upstream, and we've got to think about creating communities that welcome, encourage, and entice people to be healthy.
ULI is comprised of people who plan communities, design communities, oversee communities, develop communities, finance communities. So we're right there at the front lines in sort of changing the direction that all of those activities, how they take place.
They're making decisions about the shape of the world that we live in, and it's becoming increasingly apparent that the shape of the world we live in has a great deal to do with how healthy we are. What we're doing is consistent with what ULI has been doing for 77 years, which is to focus on creating thriving communities, sustainable communities worldwide. Part of that now, I think, relates to how a community drives health.
Building healthier communities produces better outcomes for kids in terms of learning, in terms of achievement. It's a matter of economic imperative that we try and produce the best outcomes we can for individuals to succeed, and to a large extent that is predicated on the opportunities they have, particularly as kids, to be healthy and active.
The built environment contributes to health and well-being in ways we perhaps never even imagined.
An enormous part of the GDP of this country goes towards healthcare. I believe the number is 17%. If some percentage of that can be saved because people are healthier through the design of our communities, there is an enormous benefit to the country.
Part of what we're trying to do is even define what a healthy community is. A healthy community has means of providing income flow to sustain itself. So yes, there's the health and wellness, but there's a well-being and a sustainability aspect to what a healthy community is.
Our hypothesis in the Building Healthy Places initiative at ULI is that healthier places, or places that are conceived and executed in a way that enhances health, will also achieve a higher value and be able to retain that value longer and be able to produce a higher return on investment for their investors and developers.
There is a chance here to do well by doing good, and somebody's going to come up with a mix that works, and you're going to walk into it and say, damn, I've never been in one of these places before, and this feels right for me, and that's going to translate into value.
We know that properties developed in a walkable community close to public space and to parks, we know that those property values are higher. So it's just how do we quantify those and make sense for the development community?
I think that builders, urban planners, architects, transportation leaders are health professionals. They don't think of themselves as white coat folks. They don't think of themselves as health professionals. But I'm going to assert that they have more impact on the health of Americans than the people sitting in the hospital waiting for the patient to come through the door.
Hi, so I'm Rachel MacCleery. I'm Senior Vice President at ULI, and I'm here to talk about ULI's Building Healthy Places initiative. I'm so glad to be here. Just want to thank the Colorado Health Foundation for having me here and also for being such a great partner with ULI. So I'm going to talk about how ULI thinks about engaging with three groups of folks, with communities themselves, with our community of members, and our community of partners. But first, a little bit about the Urban Land Institute. So we're a research and education nonprofit. Our mission is to provide leadership in the responsible use of land and in creating and sustaining thriving communities worldwide. And we achieve our mission largely through informing and working with our members. So we have 32,000 members. All members are individuals. And they're comprised of folks that are involved in facets of the real estate development industry. So they're developers, architects, landscape folks, designers, investors, public sectors. So you can see from that video, we try to craft messages that will resonate with them. And we reach them through a variety of activities, including education, awards, best practices, our research and publications, and convening. So we have events like this one, the conference, but I have yet to be at a ULI meeting that has a dance party that follows it. Wasn't that fun last night? So I'm going to have to take that back to our meetings team and suggest that to them. So the Building Healthy Places initiative is working to leverage the power of our global networks to help shape projects and places in ways that improve the health of people and communities. We really think about trying to take healthy approaches to scale. The board of directors approved the initiative about 1.5 years ago, and we launched it 1 year ago. So we're about 1 year in. And I'm just going to hit on some of the highlights, but there's a lot more information at that website, uli.org/health, that you can check out. And why did the board decide to focus the energy and the activities of the Institute on health? Well, they looked at the very troubling health trends that are facing the country and the world, and the intersections of those trends with the built environment and decisions that our members make on a day-to-day basis about projects and places, including trends like, for the first time in history, children may have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. And these trends are global as well. So, the US faces troubling health trajectories, but Mexico, China, other countries are also heading in the same direction. And we know that there's a lot of things at play in these trends. So, access to medical care and personal behavior and our genes, they all matter. But living and working conditions in homes and communities, what we call the built environment for shorthand, has a profound influence on health outcomes. And those are the things that our members work on and can influence and change. In the pursuit of wealth and comfort, we've managed to design physical activity out of everyday life. And physical activity isn't the only thing that's at play in the built environment. So, as Dr. Eichen said, access to healthy food, exposure to toxins, clean water, clean air, all of those, parks, recreation, places to socialize and engage, all of those have they're directly related to the way that we think about our communities and the places that people live and work. But we think that we can do it better. We can build communities that are focused on health. So this is a mixed income redevelopment project in Jackson, Tennessee that is built around a healthcare center. We can build homes that improve asthma symptoms for children and that reduce asthma visits to hospitals by paying close attention to building materials and conditions inside buildings. We can build places that are beautiful and that provide places for communities to meet together and to recreate and engage. Communities that have a range of transportation choices, so lots of different options for people to get around. And we can do that through engaging with people like you and engaging with communities. So I'll talk first about how ULI is approaching engaging with directly with communities. And a lot of that work is in partnership with the Colorado Health Foundation. So we have a longstanding program called Advisory Services Panels where members volunteer their time, usually about a week or 3 days, and they come into communities to help them think through opportunities to solve local land use challenges. So they meet with community members, they talk with them, they understand their issues, and they provide an objective set of recommendations for what can be done to overcome these issues. So in the spring of last year, in partnership with the Colorado Health Foundation, ULI advised 3 different communities in Colorado. Arvada is a suburban community, Lamar is a rural one, Westwood is an urban one. And we worked with them to understand what they were thinking about and encouraging them to focus on opportunities to improve health outcomes through providing healthy infrastructure that supported physical activity and recreation and that kind of thing. And an innovation here that was very visionary on the part of the foundation was that the foundation offer these communities follow-on funding to help implement the recommendations that came out of these panel engagements, and also management and operational support from PUMA. So very interesting approach here in Colorado and a pretty pioneering effort in the country. And so I'll just share the story of Lamar. Lamar is a struggling rural community, and it's largely Hispanic. And the panel urged the community to really think about health and using health as a framework for economic revitalization. And the community has really embraced this idea and has taken a lot of concrete actions to improve health outcomes and physical activity levels in the community. So they have built a new playground. They have been doing programming to activate the space. And one thing that they had is they had a field that nobody could play on during the day because it was so hot. It's very hot there. But there were no lights for them to be able to utilize the field at night. And so they've added lights in, and now the field has become a good community asset for them. In Washington, D.C., ULI's District Council local chapter has been working with the community to think about the future for the 11th Street Bridge. That bridge spans the Anacostia River, which is a traditional dividing line for the city, and spans a very high-income, wealthy neighborhood and a low-income one. And now the bridge has been decommissioned. It's no longer being used for transportation, and there's an opportunity here to create a real community asset to change the bridge into a park, to forge linkages between the two parts of the community, and ULI has been working with other stakeholders there to think through a new future for this asset. And finally, just in terms of community engagement here, I wanted to share a global example. So our local office in Singapore has been working with the Center for Livable Cities. Singapore is a very dense city. They've done a lot of things to invest in transit and to drive down automobile use, but they've been less effective in really thinking about what kinds of policies are effective for proactively supporting biking and walking. And so this report, they held a workshop with Jan Gale, who is a bicycle guru in Denmark, and looked at opportunities to promote biking and walking in the city. Singapore has some interesting challenges. It's very tropical, so it has climate issues and also some cultural biases against biking and walking. And hopefully some of these recommendations will be translated into action on the ground. So next I'm going to talk about our community of members. And like I said, this is really how we think about how ULI can advance action on the ground. And in the health space, we've identified 3 areas or opportunities for members to lead. They can lead through their organizations, in management, thinking about workforce wellness, work-life balance, that kind of thing. Through their investment in project decisions, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then also through their influence in communities by playing a part in bigger conversations about how to make health more available for everyone. And so we have a broad cross-section of members like I said, planners and architects. But I wanted to focus on a couple of our developer members, because I bet real estate developers are not the first group of people that you think about when you think about champions for health. But I'll talk about 3 people that have really embraced health as part of their mission as real estate developers. So the first is Jeremy Hudson. He's a developer in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And he really came to focus and be passionate about health because of his personal story. So as a child, he suffered from severe asthma. And he also has family members that are morbidly obese. And as he got to working on real estate projects, he realized that there were connections between those health problems and the built environment. And so he has really seen it as part of his mission as a crafter and somebody who has a direct influence on the places where people live to make those places as health promoting as possible. And one of his projects is Eco-Modern Flats in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So this project was originally a sort of decrepit 1950s, 1960s apartment building. And he acquired it. It was in a good location that was walkable to the University of Arkansas. And he has completely transformed this place. So you can see that there's a water cistern there in the front that collects stormwater. There are active stairs. He added light by creating new windows and doors. He has a roof deck to encourage socializing and interaction by the community members. He has a garden here. So he's just done an amazing amount to make this a very holistically healthy place for the people that live there. And he's done a lot on the interior as well. So these are smooth wipeable floors, done a lot of things to reduce dust and other allergens and asthma triggers. He even went so far as to have low VOC curtains and window coverings for the building. And here in this picture, you can see this beautiful active staircase that he's created. He also has this community garden. His original intention was that the residents would be able to work in this garden, and then he realized that the people that lived there would not be interested in maintaining that garden over time, so he's turned that over to the building management. But the people that live there can come by and pick vegetables and herbs and other things for their dinner, so it's a great amenity. Maria Preston is a developer in Bainbridge Island. She's the president of Asani Development, and she has approached health from an energy and sort of a sustainability perspective. So she thinks that what's good for the health of people is good for the health of the planet. So an example of that is community gardens and food. That makes healthy food more accessible to people, but it also reduces the transportation costs associated with food transport. So they have a site in Bainbridge Island that they acquired right before the recession, and they originally really were focusing on the environmental aspects of this site. So they employed the tenets of One Planet Living, which is about making zero energy consumption homes and that kind of thing. But then they've also really started to focus on health and happiness, which is a part of the One Planet Living idea. And they realized, because of the timing, that they would have to create a really special place for people in order for this project to be successful. And so they have adopted a number of things to really promote health in this project. It's hard to see here, but essentially they've put all of the parking for all of the automobiles off to the side of the site. So in a typical development, the streets would go through and there would be parking in front of the houses. But instead, they prioritize bicycle storage. So they have these little storage sheds throughout the site. And they also have a strong focus on food. Really, the whole development is has lots and lots of different plots for community members to grow food. It's all managed in collaboration and in community, so provides opportunities for engagement as well. They're really trying to promote healthy eating habits among the people that live there. And finally, Susan Powers. So Susan is this incredible developer. She's active here in the Colorado region. And her focus on health has grown out of a strong passion for equity and social justice. So she first started thinking about health in the context of some of the affordable housing projects that she was working on, and now has started to apply those lessons learned in all of her development projects. So one project that she worked on in partnership with the Denver Housing Authority was Mariposa, which is the redevelopment of an affordable housing complex in Denver. And there are many amazing aspects of this project. If you have a chance to go visit it, I encourage that. But one thing that's really exciting there is the focus on food. So they have lots of nutrition classes and other things, and they have these gardens that encourage community members to get out there and grow things. ARIA is a project that Susan and her company is working on now in collaboration with Regis University. And they have just received a grant from the Colorado Health Foundation as well to help support a lot of programming there. And I know it's hard to read, but this place will be an incredible health promoting place for the residents. It will be a mixed income community that has a strong focus on food in partnership with the university, new playgrounds and places for people to play and to work out. There'll be a health clinic on site, classes to teach people how to eat better, bicycle facilities, that kind of thing. And they're focused not just on improving conditions in their particular site, which you can see here in the middle of the schematic, but also on benefiting the larger community. So there's parks off to the side that they're also investing in and working to upgrade the facilities there. So this is just a really exciting project. So this is the affordable housing units in ARIA, and everybody who lives in these units has to be income qualified. And here, if there's anything we've learned, it's that mixed income communities work best. So these are the market rate housing that's for sale on site in ARIA with a very interesting design. And everybody that lives in this community will have access to the elements of health that I described earlier. So of course, not all of ULI's members are as passionate or as amazing as those three, but we are working to lift up the experiences and ideas of those vanguards and share them with the ULI membership more broadly through a variety of different convenings and other activities. And we share that information also through our research. So we have produced 3 different reports as part of the Building Healthy Places initiative, and they're all available as free PDFs at that website there. So 10 principles for building healthy places drew inspiration. That was a partnership also with the Colorado Health Foundation, and it drew inspiration from the 3 panels that we held in Colorado to distill principles for building healthy places, including things like putting people first and mixing things up. And Building for Wellness is a series of case studies that includes 2 of the projects that I talked about earlier, Eco Modern Flats and Grow Community. And an important effort that we're working on now, which I encourage you to look out for in the fall, is a toolkit or a report that will look at defining strategies that are health promoting that our members that are working at a project or building scale can implement. And these are things that should benefit the people that are living and working and playing in their projects, but also the broader community. So this is intended to be a very practical guidelines to take some of the policy discussions that we've been thinking about here down to the very practical level, something that's actionable for our members. So finally, just briefly, engaging with a community of partners. Of course, these are all intersecting circles, and a lot of what I talked about earlier wouldn't have been possible without partnerships. So we have a number of different partnerships that we've undertaken since the start of the initiative, including the Colorado Health Foundation, which is an incredibly important partnership for us, American Institute of Architects, American Planning Association, and those partnerships take a variety of different forms. This is a report here that we supported by the AIA that looks at some of the drivers for healthier buildings. So looking at HR, human resources, the building industry, and other folks. So that's a survey-based report. If you have an interest in that topic, you can get it from our website. And we'd like to partner with you. So if anything that has anything I said piqued your interest or resonated with you, please be in touch with us. And I just want to say, Dr. Jackson said during the video that he thinks our members, real estate developers, should think of themselves as healthcare providers. And I would like to encourage all of you to think of yourselves as healthcare providers, as stewards of the built environment. No one sector will be able to solve all of these problems. So, when you think about either in the professional role or in your community role, think about what you can do to support the production of, or the creation of places that provide places for people to play, that have safe road crossings, that have sidewalks, that provide the basic ingredients for health and physical activity. Kaiser Permanente has started to write prescriptions, not for medication, but for physical activity. And I think that's really interesting. But you have to take the next step and to say, so what can we all do to create those places that are really health promoting and health conducive? Together, I think we can build places that provide places for children to play, that leverage natural assets, and that provide opportunities for people to gather and to engage with each other, that provide access to healthy food, and give everybody the opportunity to make the healthy choice. Because as we know, all of us know, health is not just the absence of disease. It's a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. And since we've talked so much about, engaging at a personal level at this symposium, I thought I would show a picture of what motivates me. So these are my two daughters, and I believe strongly and hope that they will have the conditions to lead healthy and happy lives. And I think as a steward of the built environment, I have a responsibility to make sure that they have those opportunities. And then not just they have those opportunities, but that all children have the chance to grow up healthy and happy. And not just today's children, but the next generation of children and the generation after that. So thank you very much, and be in touch.